Hey, everybody, this is Nicole. I am your mindful change coach, and I'm coming to you live today. We are going to do a mini coaching sesh today. You're getting a little sample of what my members get every month in our group coaching session. Grab a beverage, maybe your lunch or breakfast, coffee, whatever time is in your time, whatever food and drink is appropriate for your time zone, and settle in. You may also want to grab a journal, something to write with, and a comfortable space to do that in. So I'm super excited that you're here. Let's get started. So, how often every week? I'm not even going to ask whether or not this happens to you because I am guessing it happens to you because I think it happens to almost all of us in modern living. How many times does it happen to you in a week that you are completely overwhelmed by what you need to get done? Like, seriously, how many times a week does that happen? I would love for you to put that in the chat. I will respond, I promise. So, if you're out there and you get overwhelmed sometimes, or about how many times would you say that happens in a given week? I don't know. For me, it has to be at least 5 times, and that's got to be an underestimate. So we all have these moments of getting really overwhelmed by what we need to get done. And I don't know about you, but what happens to me in those moments is that I get really foggy. I have trouble focusing. And what often if I let it slide, if I let myself slide into that, like, oh, I'm completely overwhelmed space, I kind of got to get into that fight, flight, freeze, fawn kind of situation, right? So I will either fight through and do something, but that something may not actually be the right thing. Like suddenly I have to clean the closet I've been avoiding cleaning for months. So I'm getting something done, but it's not necessarily actually helping what I need to get done that week. Or you might freeze up and just not do anything. That's another option. There are many other responses to that. But anyway, those are just a couple that I've certainly done and that I bet you have. So, like, put in the chat, what are some of your common responses? What are the ways in which you respond when you're overwhelmed now? Like, so what are the ways that you do that? And like I said a few minutes ago, grab a journal and something to write with. And we are going to work our way through a process that can actually help us get out of that stress space, like getting out of that feeling that nothing you do like matters, or it's not even that nothing you do matters, but getting out of that really stressed and overwhelmed space so that you can get done with what you really need to get done, or make the choice to rest if that's what you really need to do. If you say, you know what, I need to stop, I need to take a 20-minute nap or a half a day nap. That's an intentional choice rather than avoiding everything, maybe taking time away, but making that as an intentional choice. How about that? So, like I said, grab your pen and journal because I'm going to give you some questions to work through. This is a mini coaching session. It's a lot like what I do for Defy the Trend members every single month. We will often tackle questions like this. So, today we're again tackling clarity, finding clarity and calm using some techniques of what I'm calling mindful time management. And many of teacher, and so that's how I actually like sidle in to this topic of time management. I actually had no interest when I started doing this in talking about time management, or it just hadn't occurred to me. But what happened most of the time when I talked with people about making time for self-care or why didn't they do self-care, most often what they named was time. Like they would just say, I don't have time for, or state it as fact, I don't have time for self care, or I don't know how to make time for self care if they ask it as a question. So that's how I got into this time management stuff and why I created my Time Boss retreat, which is starting in just 2 days. So, anyway, here's what I would like. Here's what you've been waiting for here. Grab your journal. Here's the little mini coaching session, what I'm going to suggest you do when you're in that overwhelmed space. And again, that might happen once a day. You might make this process a routine so that you're not getting into that really wildly overwhelmed space. So here's what you do if you feel that, if you start to feel overwhelmed, you're having trouble focusing, you might be darting from one project to the next. What I suggest is slow down, pause yourself, and slow down. At minimum, take a few minutes to slow down your breathing. Big inhale, big exhale. You don't have to exaggerate it the way I just did. Breathe through your nose slowly. You'll be really surprised what even a minute of that will do for your outcome and outlook. Take that little moment of calm. If you need a little more time, that's cool too. Set a timer for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, for for 15, 20 minutes. I even have a preset timer in Insight Timer, which is the app that I use for timing my meditations and things like that. I would suggest I have a 20-minute, like, sort of, I call it the lunch restorative, but it's essentially a 20-minute power nap, which I take at all times of the day, not just at lunch. So that's a great way to do that. So take a little time, up to 20 minutes if you need it or more, and do that for yourself. So that's number one. So there's 4 things in this coaching session I'm going to give you, plus a 5th bonus thing that you're going to want to stick around for. So 4 things. So the first one is take a breath. At minimum, breathe for a minute. You can also take a little bit more of a break. Just take a break from the overwhelm. It'll help, I promise. This is always so helpful to me. And so the second thing is pause. Okay, you've rested enough, you've taken enough breath. Pause to look at your calendar and your to-do list if you have one, and identify not 17, not 10, not 5, but one priority project for the rest of the day. What is the thing that you need to get done with work? You might even make more than one category. I mentioned this in my live session about, I think, 2 weeks ago, where I suggested doing this in 3 different categories. So you can do it, your priority project for work. You can do your priority project for your own self-care and health and well-being. You can do it for a priority project for your relationships. What relationship do you want to invest in that day? But at minimum, when you're just dealing with one day, pick out one priority project that you're going to do that day and let other things fall to the side. And that might actually help you get the one thing done so that you can tackle 1, 2, 3 more other things. That may happen. But if it doesn't, you know that you're getting the one thing you need to get done. So that's 2 things that we need to do in these moments of overwhelm. The third thing, is recall the things you do to care for yourself. Okay, so let's recall the things that you do to take care of yourself, and maybe schedule one of those on your calendar that day. And this little mini planning session that you do might be your self-care thing that day. Believe it or not, doing this planning might actually be self-care. It might actually be something that you do daily so that it helps you frame and maybe prevents you from having it gives you that sense of calm and clarity without ever going to overwhelm. You can bypass it because you know what you need to get done if you have priorities set. At least one thing. Focus on one thing that day. But I'd also encourage you to focus on one self-care item for the rest of the day. And this thing that you're doing, this planning, like that I'm encouraging you to do in this planning session, might be it. So if you are journaling along with this process, I would say grab a piece of paper and something to write with or draw with, and write out, brainstorm for yourself. What are some of the things you do for yourself for self-care? And write those things down and put those on your calendar. And if there's some things that you're brainstorming right now that you do for self-care, and they don't have to be like going to a spa, going to a full-on exercise class or some big long thing. It can be tiny little things. It can be that 2 minutes of breathing, 1 minute of breathing that I just talked about. That's a self-care item that you can program in. You can make sure that you're programming in 5-minute breaks using the Pomodoro method, which is a favorite of mine. So you work for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break, and you continue like that for up to 4 of those. So you do that for up to 2 hours, and then you take a bigger break. Anyway, that's a side note. That was an extra bonus for you today because it was just so great. Anyway, um, I really would encourage you. So as you brainstorm on your piece of paper, what are some of those self-care items? And I would love for you to put those in the chat. What is like one thing that you do for yourself? And again, it can be a minute or two. It doesn't have to be a big blown out thing, which we often think they have to be. What does it need to be? And I would love to hear some of those things in the chat. Put those in there. I will take a look, and I would love to see more of those kinds of things. I already mentioned my little trick of taking 20-minute power naps or cat naps or whatever you want to call them during the day. Okay, so 4 things today I promised, and I have one more of those, and then we are going to take our leave of each other today, even though I'm very enjoying connecting with you today in this way. Anyway, finally, schedule time on your calendar for what you need to do on that priority project, including and your self-care. So you go from this little reflection about your priorities, you reflect on your self-care, and then you write down. You can do this for your day, but you can also do this for a longer session, like I'm planning out my week. Like this is how my week is going to roll, right? So try these simple steps, and so I would love for you to do that. So tell me one thing that you are going to prioritize either for your self-care or for your work. So if this has helped you clarify today your priority project, I would love for that to go in the chat. Like, what are the things that you want to prioritize? I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Okay, so those are the things. Slow down your breathing. Pause to look at your calendar and your to-do list if you have those ready. If not, this process can help you create that. And then recall the things, take a look at your calendar, to-do list, identify a priority project. I missed that part. So a priority project, and recall some things that you need to do that you like to do for self-care. That can be a 1-minute breathing exercise. What are some things that you would like to do to take care of yourself in that day or in that week? And then all of these things, your priority project, maybe breaking that project down into smaller steps. And then you would go to your calendar and schedule both your self-care and your priority project and follow along and follow that along your calendar. This is a tremendous project or process. It doesn't have to take you long. This probably, I mean, we've been talking for like 10 minutes. You could have done it in this 10 minutes. Maybe it'll take you 20. It might take you a little longer if you've never used it before, but it probably can be done in about 10 minutes, especially if you're focusing in on just one day. So I promised you like a big piece of advice around at the end of this today, and I'm going to hold that. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my Time Boss retreat, which is starting on Thursday morning, June 8th. And you're seeing a little thing along the bottom of my feed that today only I'm doing a flash sale for that. So if you use the code FLASH30 when you register today, and it's only good until 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you register in this next period before 7 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time, you will get 30% off of the Time Boss retreat, which is about $120 off. That is no small thing. So that's just for today only. So the retreat will include a lot more detail on processes just like what I described. It will help you identify self-care practices. It will help you create a calendar. It will help you make priorities so that we don't do this so that you can be more productive, though that may happen. We do this at Time Boss and in the Defy the Tribe community so that you can have more time to take care of yourself and spend time with those people that you love, period. We are not interested in getting more work done for the man here at Defy the Trend. We are interested in caring for ourselves, and being able to rest will save us from all of this nonsense. I am convinced of it. Save us from the nonsense of grind culture and racism and patriarchy that is out there. It'll save us this rest. I promise you that. So the last little piece of advice, I promise that I really hope you join us for Time Boss. That starts Thursday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time. However, if you can't make it live, all the sessions are recorded. All the content is for that matter, all the content is already in the online platform. You could register right now and do the whole thing by Thursday if you wanted. That would be a lot, but you could definitely do that. And I definitely have created little bite-sized chunks that you can manage every day or every week, however you want to do that. So the last piece of advice or little reminder I want to give you is that you do not need to do everything. Period. Pause there to let that sink in. You do not need to do everything. End of story. So even if you're really overwhelmed today and you're watching this looking for a little bit of advice, take a breath, like I said earlier, as one of those four parts of the process. Take a breath. Remember, remind yourself you don't have to do everything and let some things go. You may not get all the things done today. And you know what? That doesn't make you, getting those things done don't make you a better person. They just make sure you get things, like those are just things you got done. They do not make you valuable or worthwhile. So I am Nicole. I'm your mindful change coach, giving you this mini coaching sesh today live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and in my Facebook group, which is called the Mindful Leaders Lounge. I would love for you to subscribe to my YouTube feed. I would love for you to follow me on LinkedIn or join my Facebook group, which is, again, the Mindful Leaders Lounge on Facebook. You can find it there. I am so excited. I'll be coming to you in the next couple of weeks, probably with another live session. And I've been excited to tell you how to create calm and clarity when you're feeling overwhelmed. Have a great rest of your day. Remember to comment and like and subscribe and tell me all about how this coaching session worked for you. Bye. Have a wonderful rest of your day.